You have to feel the power of community. Shared experience and common struggle is what builds community. Yes. And that's what you'll find on the run.
I could get used to that, yo. I could get used to that.
Word. All right. Yo, what's going on, everybody? You are now tuned into the smartest guys in the room. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's your boy O.
I'm Jeff.
And it's Big Jus.
How's everybody doing, man? Our show, let's just break it down real quick. Our show is all about celebrating creativity and community impact. We're doing that. We're redefining what it means to be smart. And we're doing that by redefining or by celebrating what it means, you know, to be part of your community, to have these creative endeavors and to like really achieve your dream. And who else better than, you know, a local legend, if you will.
Local legend, a four-time marathon
Uptown
runner.
icon.
You know, co-founder of the Root Crew, We Run Uptown.
You're not old, but you a grandfather, bro.
Nah.
You an OG.
You an OG out here.
You an OG.
Father, husband, community leader. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Hector Espinal.
Yes, sir. Hell yeah.
I didn't know we were starting, and you guys just started introducing yourselves. I was like, oh, it went.
We jumping straight into it, man.
Let's get it. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. Yo, we've been looking forward to this conversation for a very long time.
Quite a bit.
I know we've been talking and teasing, like, yo, we got to have you on the show. We got to have you on the show. We finally got our ducks in a row. We have you on the show. This happened very quickly. And we're excited, man. We're here to talk about your journey, you as an inspiration, you as a community leader. But first, man, like, tell the people a little bit about yourself. Like, where are you coming from? I mean, we in your home, but where are you coming from?
We Uptown, born and raised in Washington Heights. I grew up on 168th Street between Audubon and Amsterdam. My mom lives there still. My dad lives there still. And that's the block that watched me go from a knucklehead to a man.
168, the hospital
community
block. The hospital block.
The hospital block.
It was, my 168th is really small. It's legit only Audubon and Amsterdam. That's where everyone that lives on 168 lives. Because then you have 2 schools and the hospital. Yeah. So I spend very few, like, I didn't spend a lot of time on my block because there was nobody else that around my age there. So I would hang out on 163rd, on 165th. So that's where I kicked it.
Now, how was that? Because I feel like back in the day, especially in the Heights, like certain blocks never really intermingled too much, especially in the 163 area, that's 165. We talking Wash Heights facts right now. And please, Hector,
be candid.
Be candid about it.
It was very interesting because like the 60s didn't really get along with the 70s, but I lived on 168th, so we were closer to like 170 and 171st and 172nd. Yeah. But all my friends lived in 6 Block City, and that's where I hung out. My aunt lived on 165th, and I spent a lot of time at my aunt's house. And I would tell my mom I was going to my aunt's house, but I was really going to hang out in the alley, or hanging out on 6th and Broadway. So
up to no good.
It was definitely up to no good.
You know, nefarious activities.
99 for Wash, if you know, you know. That's the old people's home. We spent a lot of time hanging out on that rooftop. There was a couch up there, a TV.
Yo, you know it's lit when there's a couch.
Yeah.
Just a couch.
I don't know who brought the couch up there, but the couch was up there.
You know it's extra lit when there's a couch. Like, anyway,
it's like a little trap. It's a little trap. That's what it is.
But then we lost it to the older dudes.
Oh, yeah. They pumped y'all out of it.
Once they found out we had that up there, it was done. We couldn't hang out.
They had the same reaction Just had. Yo, they got a couch up there?
What is y'all doing, partying? Nah. Shut that couch shit down, bro.
There could have been there was probably a PlayStation 2 up there as well.
Oh my God.
Y'all was living with the little LCD. Nah.
There was some extension cords short of like charging about an hour to hang out there. Like
for sure.
For sure. So like that's where it all began. And you know, like there's so much to talk about, but I think like most recently, you just completed a marathon, bro.
Yes.
Literally.
That's amazing. Congrats.
Thank you.
Just came back from the London Marathon, and it's the 4th one that you've completed.
It's my 4th marathon. It
Excellent.
is, I put a 7-hour shift. during the London Marathon.
That was 7 hours?
It was 7 hours. That is not impressive. That
was
is
straight.
that was straight. 7 hours
crazy.
straight. It was my worst marathon to date.
Your worst, like personal worst?
Personal, yeah, definitely. Like to give you some context, the fastest marathoner in the world is running a sub 2 hour marathon. His name is Eliud Kipchoge. He's running an hour and 59 minutes. That's his best time. 2:01, 2:02. Like that's what the first person that runs a marathon is coming in. I came in around 7 hours. My best marathon is 6:05.
But you had jet lag, so you know.
No. It's I played dumb games and I got dumb prizes.
Yeah, nice.
You have to train for a marathon. You know, and I knew it, and everybody would ask me like, "Yo, how's your training going?" And I would tell them it was going well, and it wasn't going well. You know, I was like, it would be a day like this, and you would wake up, and you have to run 15 miles, and it's 6 in the morning, and your bed feels a lot more comfortable than going and run in the rain. Definitely, you know.
Netflix is booming.
You would look out the window like, nah, I've done this before, man. I'm good. So I was running like anywhere between 10 and 13 miles. When you're training for a marathon, you have to go up to mile 20. And you have to put in work. Like you have to, an average of 30 to 40 miles a week. I was averaging a 5K at Root Crew on a Monday. You know, that was it.
On a weekly. So that
on a weekly.
That was your preparation for the London Marathon.
Pretty much. I kept telling myself, I've done this before. Muscle memory. There's no muscle memory for marathon running.
Know what? You did it. Like, not for nothing.
Yeah.
It took you a shift. But like,
took me a shift.
At the same time, you did it. And you did it like the closest thing that it was like to not training, right? It was like you just like your warm-ups and your kind of your already established routine, if you will.
So like I was really good until like mile 15. Like I felt good and I was solid, and then everything went out the window there because like I just didn't have it anymore. But we spent like, I just made the payment. I called Josh, like I gotta make a payment to this. I just paid off the flight to London, you know, at my hotel. So like we spent a significant amount of money to get there. Right. Yeah. And I was like, yo, I don't wanna come back to do this shit. I don't wanna come back to London. I wanna finish this now. So they're like, quitting wasn't an option, but there were so many times. Like it rained for the first 15, 16 miles of the marathon.
Classic.
Like I started the marathon on this field in London, probably one of very few people of color in that field. Like everyone around me was white, and we're in this field and it is pouring. And I have this like champ hoodie on, like trying to stay warm. There's nothing, I jumped in another corral because I had to wait another hour to start. But it was not good conditions, you know? And then the whole time you're running, I'm like chafing. Another thing, British people love Haribo, like
gummy
the
bears?
gummies. Like I had gummy bears, worms, soda bottles, caps. You name a shape, someone on the course gave it to me.
Yeah.
Like
why gummy?
I have no idea. Just everyone was handing me gummy bears and gummy stuff. Like
imagine it was like
little energy
they were
boosts.
like acid gummy bears.
Not
tripping balls on mile 19.
That's the beauty of the running community. Yeah. It's really, really wholesome. And it took me a while to understand that. When I first started running, I came in with this hood mentality, like, oh, fuck you, like us against the world. And that's like where like the first logo came, like the Public Enemy logo, like we were under a scope. And it took me a while to understand that no one in the running community was out to get me. That these men that were trying to be my friends were genuinely just trying to have a friendship. And it took me a while to like break that wall and understand how like positive the community was, and that my negativity was stopping me from forming these long-lasting friendships. But I've never feared someone like spiking something on a marathon course. Like think about it, you gotta be the worst person in the world to leave your house in the morning and be like, I'm gonna fuck with everybody's marathon today.
It's a sad reality, but we've actually seen it happen.
It's happened
within
before.
The last 10 years.
It happened at the Boston Marathon. It definitely happened. But yeah, man, it was London was interesting.
Yeah.
London was interesting. We got a lot of love in London. What we do, Uptown, Root Crew, happens all over the world. So we were out there linking up with Run Them Crew, who is the founding run crew in London. We have homies in Tokyo. We have homies in DC, LA, Chicago. You name a city or a crevice in the world, and there is a run crew club collective that is putting on for their community. And it's very different from like a Central Park track club or a Brooklyn track or a Prospect Park track club. This is about community and not performance. You know, it's the running is almost an afterthought to everything else that's happening. You know, it lives in the intersection of lifestyle, fitness, and community.
Now, it wasn't always like that. Like that's the thing about like the running culture. It has shifted. It's changed. You, Josh, the rest of the Rue crew, and all of these running crews, these urban running crews around the world, they have been changing the look and feel of what this sport looks like. Like, how does it feel to have been? Well, actually, before even that, take us back. Take us
been
back.
10 years. 10 years this July, right?
Take us back 10 years ago, because it wasn't something. This wasn't something that happened overnight.
Yeah.
50 people just showing up just randomly on a Monday to go on a 5K run. That didn't happen overnight. So how did this actually all start?
In 2012, 2013, I went through a really bad breakup. I gained a bunch of weight. I was very, very depressed.
Breakups, man. They
Breakups
always
suck,
do
man.
that.
Do you in?
Yeah, man, they be the ones.
Shout out to her though, because legit, like I would not be here and like
Shout
we
out
wouldn't
to
be
you.
having this conversation.
I hope you're watching.
We went through a really bad breakup and lost myself. I did not know who Hector was, and I started to like hermit myself and like just stay home because I wasn't comfortable with the person that I was seeing in the mirror. And you know, I was looking for fitness. Or at least that's what I thought I was looking for. I wanted to lose weight. I had this pair of like Christian Dior jeans, like Christian Dior denims, that definitely didn't fit me. And I was, you know, and they fit me one time. Yeah, you remember when we went to that Alexander Wang party and we were like jumping on, Josh had to like push me on top of a truck. Alexander Wang was fine. But whatever, the jeans fit me for like 1 week and never again, but we got to wear them. But yeah, went through this breakup and I needed to find something to get me back to who I was. And my sister and her friends, my sister was also going through a breakup and she was really emotional. She's like, yo, come running with us. And I didn't want to do it. I started running with my sister and her friends. They all went off to college. I had nobody to run with. That summer, Nike had launched the Fuel Band.
Good old
Fuel
Fuel
Band.
Band.
Remember those?
So that Fuel Band was launching around that time, and they were doing these events in the city. If you had the fuel, you got invited to play dodgeball and play capture the flag, and like these different, they gamified fitness. And I had the privilege and honor of going to every single event that summer. And one of those events was like the Mercer Street Stickball Challenge, and this was later in that year. But we were learning and I was meeting new people. And the beauty of it was that I was getting out of my hood. I was no longer hanging out uptown because all of these events were taking place in, like I was going to Williamsburg for the first time. I was in the LES. Like I was being exposed to things that I had never been exposed to. If you think about like how many people are confined to their zip code, and like how many of our friends have never been anywhere else other than their motherland. Like they've never been anywhere else than Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic or somewhere in South America. And that was my life. I'd been to DR, Jersey, and PA. That's it. That was my that was my passport.
That's
you know,
the tri-state.
the tri-state area. Never been to Connecticut until I started running. You know, shit was wild.
That's a really dope thing because running has taken you outside of the hood.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
taking you outside of the hood, but it's brought the hood to so many different places.
For sure.
Just like as you're going to Williamsburg, you're bringing Uptown. You're the Uptown representation. Rue Crew is representing this entire community, this entire neighborhood when they're leaving this zip code. So like running has given you the opportunity to see the world. Like talk about that a little bit.
And before we get into that, the hardest thing to do is form platonic friendships.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that running has taught me to do. And for me, more than anything, is form bonds with men. I've always it's always been hard for me to like tap in with guys my age. All my friends have always been older. I got to meet Josh through a mutual friend. Like I was friends with him. That's Josh's friend now. Josh and him are still friends, but he introduced me to Josh, and me and Josh clicked instantly. And fun fact, Josh was not a runner until Josh met me. And we had to lure Josh in, telling him that he was gonna win some free sneakers.
That sounds like me.
You know, no sneakers happened. But it was like going back to the access. Like that event was us going. Like we were running downtown. We were doing a scavenger hunt, and we were the only Latinos at that scavenger hunt at a Nike event. You know, and it's. We never been in Central Park. We never ran in Central Park. They were telling us like the clues were super. Like now you give me those clues and we're like, we know exactly where it is. It's like Christopher Columbus statue in Central Park. We were running the opposite way. Right. Everyone was at the checkpoint. But it goes to show you like how easy it is to just be stuck in your hood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
You spoke about traveling, and in the last 10 years, I've seen more of the world than I have in the 21 years prior to that. Yeah. Running has allowed me to travel to Europe multiple times, to Asia, to all over the US, South America, Latin America, the Caribbean, and it's all been because of running. Yeah. You know, running opened doors for me that I didn't even know existed. Forget about the doors being closed. Yeah. I couldn't even see the physical door. Yeah. I didn't know that I had the opportunity to walk through. Yeah, man, it's wild, and I still like to this day, whenever we go somewhere and someone, fuck them knowing me, when someone recognizes Rue Crew, that to me means the world, because it means that the work that we're doing, like, if you think about New York City is the epicenter of the world. Absolutely. Like hip hop, running, fashion. Hip hop, fashion, sports, food, everything. Like we shift culture. Like we do that. Like that's just the honest truth. We do that. And for us to be able to say that running is also being shifted by what we're doing uptown. Yeah. And most of that started uptown. Think hip hop, like think about all basketball, the Mecca, all this stuff. And now running is in that same equation. Right. And we can...
give it up.
Applause for that one. Round of applause for that.
Those are the facts.
So Hector, I think like that's a perfect... It's been 10 years, man. So you guys are celebrating... We Run Uptown celebrating their 10th anniversary this July. And I think that to do anything for 10 years, right, and like keep it consistent. One of the things that that I heard you say, and it stuck with me, was, every Monday, rain, sleet, hail, snow, we are there. And I think that that's such a like quintessential part of building community. Over these past 10 years, what have been some of the like most like the fondest moments that you've like, or the fondest memories that you have? Meeting
Josh was really dope because we instantly clicked. Yep. And like I met Josh the day I had broken up with my ex. Wow. And we went to like the Stumble Inn or something like that to go play beer pong. So you lost one
spirit for another spirit. That's crazy.
Amazing.
I don't know. We were somewhere like on West 4th playing. It was like one of those like NYU bars. Yeah. And I was like mopey as hell. I was wearing a black 3X football jersey. But yeah, meeting Josh is like one of the fondest moments for the 10 years. Our first trip to Punta Cana as a group, because it was dope for us to like, even over there, we shifted culture, and I don't care what anybody says. We went out there wearing, that was when the Red Octobers dropped. We went out there wearing all red race kits, and people out there were running in like Air Force Ones and like Puma sneakers. Like the running culture wasn't what it is now in DR. Right. And we went in there over there loud as hell with these bright orange, red, Nike'd out, like Volt color shades, making mad noise. They were really timid. So that was dope for me, like to be able to go back to DR and bring the crew out there. Our 5th year anniversary, because we started thinking like, we here for 5 years. For year 5, we put a billboard up on 215. Yep. That was a big moment for us, because it was supposed to only be up for a month, and it was up for like 6-7 months, because nobody bought the billboard after us.
So that's the hard part about billboards. They don't give a fuck. So they just be like, let it rock.
It was a really big flex for me, because it was just like the world is ours, bro. Like we did this uptown. And if I have to think of another one, 2017 when I ran my first marathon.
Which one was that one?
That was New York City Marathon. And for me, I always felt like I had something to prove, because I'm the biggest runner at Rue Crew. I'm the slowest person at Rue Crew still.
I'll challenge you.
We here. Pretty slow. And it was Josh jokes about it all the time. My marathons get progressively slower. But with the marathon, it was more of a like, yeah, I said I wasn't gonna be a runner. I ran my first half. And then I felt good, but then people were like, oh, but you still haven't ran a marathon. So then I trained for one. I ran the marathon. I did that. I put myself out on the main stage. Nike did a piece on me on Nike NYC on the channel, okay. And I was shook because I'm like, damn, Hector, if you fail,
that's a lot
like,
of pressure.
All these people watch you fail. And you know, I put my training in, I focused, I went vegan for 57 days. Like, I was doing,
that's crazy.
That shit was dumb as hell.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
I don't want to say it out loud.
It was dumb as hell, man.
That's really exact. So I want to say that usually, hold on, before I even say that, what happened on the 58th day?
57th day, I ran a 20-mile run, and then I got.
He was like, "Yo, fuck this! I want some wings, bro."
No, not even. I got, and this is like the dumbest thing to ruin your 57. I went and got a Domino's pie with pepperoni.
Damn, that's
like it was just. I was hungry. I got home. I was just laying down on my mom's floor, and I was like, "Yo, I want a pepperoni pizza."
I feel that.
And that ended.
And that ended my 57
like,
days.
I totally feel that. That's yo.
But that is, if I had to sum it up, that marathon changed the trajectory of how I felt about myself as a runner.
Nice.
That you couldn't tell me shit after that.
Excellent.
Like what you could be fast, you could be doing this for 20 years. We on the same playing field. Yeah. You ran a marathon, I ran a marathon. Yeah. That's it. Nothing else matters.
That line,
yeah.
That's a huge accomplishment. So we spoke about this on the show in the past, and I brought it up. I was like, yo, as a native New Yorker, I've said this with a couple of the homies before, like, yo, I would love, that's a huge like bucket list thing to run the New York Marathon. That's a huge accomplishment. Even if you never run a marathon again, the fact that you ran the New York Marathon once, that is huge. That's amazing.
Anybody that ran the marathon, you just got to give them props. Like,
Period.
Yo, that's,
absolutely.
That's wild miles 26. in a row, bro.
26.2. 0.2.
Don't leave out the 0.2.
Yo, the 0.2 be mattering.
He said that with some energy,
nah,
bro.
For real,
that last quarter, like
yeah,
I bet.
0.2.
Your watch hits 26 miles and you done, and then it's like 200 meters to go. That shit is horrible, bro. And that's like where everybody's looking at you. The camera's on you. It's a hill. It's one thing I started doing though, like I started running like my marathons without a shirt. You know, and
you have to protect your nipples.
Bro, definitely, el hombre sin la camisa.
El hombre sin la camisa.
That was in Puerto Rico. They went crazy. Puerto Rico, like it was a 3-day race, 3 races, and that's what they were yelling. Ahí viene el chico sin la camisa. But the reason I started doing was to protect my nipples.
Exactly.
We were running in DR.
There's a lot of chafing.
We were running in DR. It was hot. I was wearing a shirt that was not like a sweat wicking shirt. I started chafing. I said, yo, fuck this. This shit hurts. So I took my shirt off and I got heckled. It was DR. And Dominicans are obsessed with weight. I don't know why, but like if you too skinny or you too fat, like obsessed with weight. Dominicans and weight go like hand in hand. But
I have a body.
Tú estás fuerte. So I took my shirt off and like the cameras went crazy. I ended up on like blogs in Brazil. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
So like
leader of a movement.
Yeah.
Now.
So I like honed in on that. I'm like, yo, I'm a fat marathoner. Like fuck it, we taking off the shirt. I want to get some dope photos. So let's give the people what they came.
It's
for.
A lot of wild action shots. You like halfway running into
the stomach is for real. Like you gotta see the picture I'm talking about Punta Cana. I'm gonna share it with you. It's like one boob is up, one boob is down. The second one.
Look out for the big boy.
It was body in motion, bro.
So
they did not like that in Berlin though.
No, they didn't.
No. I don't know what they were saying, but they were pointing and they looked very like.
They're like 9 nipples.
Yeah. I thought in Europe they fucks with chest out.
Nah. They definitely didn't. I don't know what they were saying, but it did not sound pleasant.
No, I mean nothing really sounds pleasant.
In German, nah. It all sound crazy. You're like, all right, cool.
Heck, so you said you ran 4. So New York and London. What were the other 2?
Chicago and Berlin.
Okay.
So I've done. It was New York, Chicago, Berlin, and London. The goal is to be. There's only 37 Dominicans that have completed all 6 world majors. Shout out to Will. He's first root crew member to complete all 6 world majors.
Hey, shout out to Will.
Shout out to Will. But yeah, the goal is to be top 100. So I want to give my parents that flex. Like, my son, the fat one. Like he's number 83 that complete like whatever that number is. But I want to give my parents that accolade. I could either be one of 8,000 Americans to complete all 6 world majors or one of 100 Dominicans, you know?
And that
Yes,
was
sir.
something that you went back and did. Like after this last London marathon, you changed the ethnicity to Dominican.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I emailed Abbott, who's the governing body for all 6 world majors. And London was the first one that, like, when I scanned my bib, it said Dominican Republic.
Hey.
And when you think about it, like, this is just also me, like a fuck you to the U.S. Like, we're only American when it's convenient. You know, like at the end of the day, we're seen as second-class citizens anyway. So why add to like their accolade
word.
on that on Abbott? You know, nobody's looking for that. I'm looking for that. The runners care. What happened?
Exactly.
Dominicans definitely looking for that. The first Dominican that did it was in 2013. So when the year we started, that was
so
the first.
in the last 10 years, there's been 37
Dominicans.
That's crazy.
You know, and it wasn't something that I cared about. I didn't care about doing the first marathon. We were legit sitting in my mom's house eating rabo, and my mom broke down crying. She was like,
Shout out to Rabo.
That's
Because
amazing.
Rabo should just get a shout out.
Rabo was amazing.
Shout out to
Oxtail,
Rabo.
bro.
Oxtail's amazing.
Heard it here first.
But we were sitting in my mom's living room, and everyone else that was there had ran a marathon. And they're like, oh, this is your year. And I couldn't run a marathon because I was banned from New York Roadrunners.
What?
How did you
Yeah,
get
how did that
banned
happen?
from New York Roadrunners?
It's the truth, bro.
mean, don't want
It's
the smoke.
already out.
New
It's
York
public.
Roadrunners don't want
It's
the
public.
smoke. What
It was
happened?
public. It's public info.
What happened?
So I am a man of the people.
Yeah, you are.
And I am all about providing access to We Run Uptown by any means necessary.
There you go.
Races are really expensive. They cost $200 to $300. And my squad wanted to run the races. Some races have lotteries that they couldn't get into.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to Photoshop and LaserJet printer. What skills that we
Hell
learned,
yeah.
and we learned
Exactly.
how to bootleg the bibs.
Exactly.
So-
That's how you do
Adobe
shit.
cut the check.
Degeneracy.
Adobe.
We were
Cut the
we
check.
were bootlegging the bibs. We don't do that anymore. I learned my lesson. We bootlegged the
die for
bibs. Because people wanted to run the races and they couldn't afford to get into them, or they didn't get into them, so we made them the bibs. And so we had a whistleblower, and someone reported my activities because this was public. I wasn't doing this hidden because I didn't care, because I wasn't planning on running a marathon. So it was like, what is New York Roadrunners gonna do? Sue me? Like, what are they gonna sue? What are they gonna sue me for? Like,
Actually,
you know,
yes, yes, we
but
are.
for what? What are they gonna do? They were gonna sue the hospital employee? I was a
gonna pull up to your
housekeeper
crib
at the
with a
time,
briefcase.
bro. Like, I slept on a bunk bed. What were they gonna
He
sue
was
me
in the
for?
Presbyterian printing out all these bibs.
Running
like,
out the bibs.
in the hospital.
So we made the bibs. We got caught. A huge article called Marathon Investigations came out.
Wow.
Marathon investigate.
These
What other
criminals have
stories?
nothing better to do than recreate these
I would just
marathon
love to know
bibs.
what other stories are on marathon
Their
investigations.
job is to find people who cheat on marathons. So like if you cut the course and you came in at a high number and you took somebody's prize money, Marathon Investigations will get to the bottom of that. They'll be like, you ran
Yo, Netflix should pick that shit up.
You ran a 5K at this time, but your 15K was this time. Where did you cheat at? Like, that's what
That person's really
That's
fun at
crazy.
parties.
They made an
They're
article.
really fun at
it's,
parties.
it's internal affairs for
Yes,
running.
and like
Internal.
it's only like the narc. Like
That's
they're fucking
wild.
narcs.
That year, I decided to do it. My mom broke down, had a tantrum, started crying. She's like, ¿Por qué si ellos todito lo hicieron? Tú te dices que tú no puedes. And she was like that. In her head, she's like, why do you doubt yourself? So I said, you know something? F it, I'm gonna do it. Nike got me a bib for the marathon, but they could not give me the bib because I was banned from New York Roadrunners. So I had to go and like do a bunch of groveling at the New York Roadrunner office and pretty much beg for them to add me back in so I can have this moment.
You had to put out a statement like, "Yo, I love running. I love New York."
Yeah, no one, and also bootlegging bibs is now banned at We Run Uptown. Anyone that
go.
bootlegs a bib at We Run Uptown is of their own accord, and me and Josh do not approve.
We do not condone.
No.
So
Hey, I mean, how big is the bib counterfeiting like industry?
Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend.
I mean, I'm just
Oscar, we still
interested
have
to know.
9 more episodes. So before you think about new business endeavors, bro,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
let's finish this.
Seems
first.
like an opportunity.
No one, this is free. Like, people that are bootlegging bibs are genuinely doing it because their friends want to run these races. They just want to run. No one from Root Crew has ever cheated on any of these races. We were completing the races, just, you know.
It's
with,
expensive. Before you know it, the other day you're like, I spent $10,000
Yo,
on races this
for
year.
real. And,
Damn.
that's
London was $450.
That's
I paid
part of it.
I paid $450 to run the London Marathon for 7 hours.
That's
You
crazy.
know,
So what you get back is extremely sore, stiff legs, and a medal.
And a medal. We do it for
Pat
the
on
medal.
the back. Yo, congrats.
Yeah, you got
I think that you know, you understand why people charge money and shit, but like part of it, that's partly gatekeeping, right? Like you want certain people to like
To be
show
a
up.
part of it, yeah.
And then you try to ostracize or like, you know, another group of people who like all they want to do is run and like feel accomplished in what they do, right?
Yep.
So like you run this race and like even I would say as somebody who like hasn't run anything formally ever, if I got a bib, believe I'm framing that shit. I'm doing something.
absolutely.
I got
hell
one
yeah.
bib, bro. Like, yo, that's the story for the rest of my life.
100%.
Yo, he's the guy who like ran. He's that guy. He's gonna tell you about how he ran a marathon one time, bro. Believe it.
Hell
Believe
yeah.
it. I
As soon
will
as
do
you
that.
walk into my apartment, you see like all my medals.
Yo.
You know,
Yeah,
it's a
word.
talking point. Running is a white elitist sport.
Absolutely.
It is a very expensive sport. It is not something that people of color do. It's not we are changing that narrative, but it's like a race is $450. You gotta buy goos and gels for energy. But how much is a box of Martin?
Oh my God.
$50, $60?
It's close to 100.
Or a pair of Hokas.
a pair-
Or a pair of Hokas.
Okay, by the time you're done, because you need the gels and then you need the mix and then it's like
A pair of running sneakers, $275.
See, so that's
you
a
know.
whole
Let me
other
tell you
thing.
something.
It's a big package.
Yeah, hell
because
yeah.
It's just you're paying for the
Before
run,
you know it, you're at
paying for
$1,000.
the accessories,
physical therapy, the massage.
physical therapy.
Yeah,
Jeez,
God
I didn't even
forbid
think
you
about
want to
that.
get a trainer because you want to compete for a
Bro.
time. Like that's a complete different ball game. Like now you got to pay for this, and then the amount of time that you have to take out of your day-to-day life
To
to
actually do
train.
this, yeah.
Like we were talking about it earlier, it's 30 to 40 miles a week, but
Yeah.
you got to put. It's not only about that. You have to find the time to do that. Like you gotta like go to the track. You gotta go do a long run. After you have to recover from your long run. Like. It is not a sport for a person that is working 16-hour shifts. For someone that has to work overtime, for someone that is supporting a family, that is like has to sleep. Like it's and we all do it.
It
Like,
has this natural like kind of siphoning going. Like it's like, yo, if you have a certain type of lifestyle, you just can't
do it.
think of DR, right? The best way, like, because of how clear the disparities are in the Dominican Republic. When you show up to any race in DR, you can instantly tell it's the people with money that are doing it.
Yeah.
You know the way that their skin looks. You know they're not in the field.
What they're
not,
wearing.
They're not sunburned. What
No
they're
calluses,
wearing.
no none of
No
that.
calluses. You see how they're showing up. Like they have the belt and the $300 Oakley glasses. Like there in third world countries, you can see the disparity right away.
Right.
Just because oh damn, this guy is loaded. What office does this guy work at? And where does this guy that's running in a cotton tee and an Air Force Ones work at? You know, like you can see the people that are invested into the sport.
Right.
I feel like if you run with Air Force Ones, you should automatically be gifted a medal.
You
Like,
should absolutely.
Like you don't even gotta
Absolutely.
like, no, nah, this guy don't gotta run. Like you
Absolutely.
you gotta like, I don't know, a blue medal. I don't know,
A blue medal? You get an all black medal for your all
a
black
white
Cubs.
medal. Is they all white? Yeah.
It's so interesting though because like over the last 10 years or so since you guys started this, like there has been a shift within the culture of different sports in terms of the urbanization of it all, right?
Yep.
So you look at sports like golf, you look at
Yep.
sports like, I mean, tennis of course, but even Pickleball, sure.
Pickleball.
What's the other game?
It's the fastest growing sport right now.
Pickleball. Yo, I used to get an email from the Pickleball Association every single month talking about, yo,
We need to
love
get
a
the people who
sponsorship.
set up pickleball to do affordable housing in New York City, all right? Like, because the way y'all set up these courts, like, set up some buildings, bro. Like, this shit happened. Half of Central Park already has pickleball courts, bro. Like, I know like 7 people in entirety that play pickleball, but now it's like a thing.
Celebrities are getting into it too. They're like making
I
rackets.
feel like
and
that's
shit.
paid. That's all paid, like endorsements. Like, yo, I got this really corny fucking sport. Like, if you just like say something, like a couple words about how cool it is, it's like tennis but close range. Like
Close range
know.
tennis. That's
yeah,
crazy.
it's like I don't know, man.
But heck, man, so about the urbanization, like, why do you think that that's happening now? Like, why do you think that that's happening in cycling? That's happening, like, and it's our generation. You know, there's something about like the millennials, let's call it. You know, like that are like just bringing the culture into these sports?
It's us breaking that barrier of like feeling inferior.
Yep.
And I think it's us just taking back space and not allowing imposter syndrome to win, you know? And if you think of running or tennis or golf, and like, it's not a sport that was made for us. Growing up, when my earliest memory of seeing runners or cyclists, that's another thing. Like I'm seeing a lot more black cyclists, a Dominican cyclists, like
with the gear and everything.
With the gear in droves.
Pretty
like,
pricey.
Not 1-2 people. It's like, because if you stand on Riverside Drive in the summer, if you stand on 165th and Riverside Drive, everyone really you see, like, you are now seeing groups of runners of color, groups of cyclists of color. That was not the case 10 years ago. And like, We Run Uptown is the first group of its kind north of Central Park. When we started in 2013, what we do and how we do it did not exist. Now, after the last 10 years, you have another group on Dykeman. You have Dykeman Run Club, you have Boogie Down Bronx Runners, you have Milestone, you have the Yonkers Running Project, 718 in the Bronx, More Than a Run Crew, Harlem Run. All these groups that started after we started. I'm not saying that we paved the way, but it did not exist. It was not there. There was no one doing it. Like, when we first started doing this Uptown, we looked crazy. We were getting stopped and frisked. Yo, the 33rd and the 34th
Why you running,
precinct,
bro? Come on.
Me tenía hasta la coronilla, bro. It was crazy. Like, I'm talking about, boop, 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 everybody get on the wall.
They're searching you out for guns. All you had was shorts on.
For our 4th year barbecue, we had a couple Nike execs there, and the 33rd precinct came mobbing. It was mad cop cars. The dude with the white shirt, the sergeant, showed up.
That's how you know.
Brings out
They all making overtime.
A folded piece of paper, and he's like, "Whose heck is dead?" I was like, "That's me. How's it going, officer?" Like, I know how to talk to the cops. I'm like, "Yo, how can I help you? What's going on?" He's like, "Is this you?" I was like, "Yeah, that's my Instagram, that's my flyer." And he's like, "We got an anonymous tip that this has the potential to turn dangerous."
Wow, bro.
Yo, and we looked at them and we're like, "Bro, I'm in 5-inch shorts and a Volt color tank top."
Yeah. So.
Like, we had everything set up, the tiki torches, and we're like, "Yo, like, who said that?" And like, he's like, "Oh, we got an anonymous tip about guns." I was like, "Guns?"
We're concerned that you might increase the life expectancy in Uptown. We're concerned that everybody's getting too healthy is the problem.
And it was really wild for us because, like, we still hadn't signed our first deal with Nike, and they were there, and they witnessed that. So, and they don't know the truth. They just saw the cops shut this barbecue down.
Sometimes that's all they need to see.
It was very. They tried to shut us down. They helped us though. They were nice. They moved us from under the George Washington Bridge all the way to somebody else's precinct. They legit threw us in another precinct. They were like,
shipped y'all off. That's crazy.
They were like, "Yo, y'all could be here." And
y'all gotta go home, but y'all get the fuck up out of here.
They put us on Riverbank, on 45th on the wall, and Riverside Drive in the park. The next morning, that was a Sunday. The next morning, I went and sat down with Community Affairs. I was done with it. And me and Josh went back and forth about this. Like, "Oh, fuck that! Like, we're just gonna keep doing our thing." And ultimately, we landed on, if we want this to grow, we have to start moving a completely different way. We sat down with Community Affairs and pretty much pitched to Community Affairs what we were doing. We, in that same breath, asked for help. "Hey, we're gonna do this run. We're gonna have domino tables, some speakers." And they're like, "Well, we can't help you. You need to fill out this form." But it allowed us to start the conversation and break that stigma of like us versus them, where it's like, "Yo, y'all got a job to do, and we are doing that job for you. We are helping Uptown be safer, keeping people out of trouble." And you know, the relationships changed. Like, that same year, International Women's Day, we went and told them, "Yo, we about to have like 300 women run." And they're like, "Oh, you need a parade permit for this." We're like, "Yo, we don't got a parade permit." I'm like, "This is happening regardless. This is they're
gonna come. They're gonna run either way."
Yeah, this is an FYI. We will be in front of Coogan's with about 300 women running for International Women's Day. Amazing. And they showed up and stopped traffic for us, and it was beautiful. Played the Rocky theme song. But going back to, like, it's us taking back our space. It's us taking, showing people like, yo, we also belong. You know, if you see the photos from like the London Marathon, the cheer zone is beautiful. It's all you see is melanin, you know, and you see people having to do what we're doing. Yeah. You know, you see the people that don't look like us having to partake in those activities. Recently, the Boston Marathon, and during the Boston Marathon, the Boston Police Department shut down the cheer zone. They shut down the only black cheer zone along the Boston Marathon. And the way that they did it was disgusting. They came and lined up 10, 15 bikes. So the crews out there, shout out to Pioneers, shout out to Trailblazers, so they could not cheer. You know, so we still have a lot of work to do when we talk about occupying space and occupying space as runners of color in this predominantly white sport. We're not there yet. The work isn't done. And look, this was in April, less than a month ago. Shut them down completely.
So big thanks to you, because the only reason why I will get on the treadmill to run is to practice running from the cops. So now I got like another excuse. Now I could just run in the street and be like, nah, I'm not. You know, I'm just running because I like it.
It's for my health. I'm trying to live.
I think there's so many lessons, and like again, going back to the 10-year mark, like I think the other question I have for you is, was the Rue Crew, We Run Uptown the smartest decision you ever made, or do you think it was like a collection of smaller decisions along the way, or was it that one big decision?
Not so much Rue Crew, but running.
Yeah.
Had I not found running, I would not be here sitting down with you today. Forget about Rue Crew, or like I would physically not be here had I not started running and allowed that to like change my life. It was my life has done a complete 180. I'm not who I was 10 years ago. Anyone that knows me, like I'm about to go do a talk at my old high school in 2 weeks. And like I went to visit my teachers and they were like in awe of the person that I had become. And it's just, I've grown so much as a person. The way I talk, the way I navigate a room, my interests, the people that I keep around me, the way that I raise my kids, everything is what it is because I started running. It saved, running literally saved my life.
I completely understand finding that thing that kind of you understand and nobody else kind of does, or you understand your relationship with it and nobody else does. We all have that thing. Is there something that you could call back to, like any particular like piece of advice or like some sort of moment where it kind of all clicked? Because I know like a lot of times we recognize like the shit that we have to do, and like we know these steps are like the appropriate steps to kind of accomplish success, but like you really need that one aha moment, that catalytic moment. Like what is that? Like what was that for you?
When I hit rock bottom, my mom, I did a lot of crying, you know, and like I was living at my mom's house, and she
I'm a
saw
big crier too.
She saw me.
Shout out to men crying.
Shout out to criers.
She like it's difficult for your mom to know that there's something wrong and to know that she can't help you. And I didn't know what, like I should have been in therapy. Through running, I found therapy and I've opened up to it. But 10 years ago, when I was going through what I was going through, I was trying to discover myself. I was trying to like think of like a cocoon, like a caterpillar going into a cocoon and like trying to break out of that shell, and I did not know what that was. So I was doing like all this moping, and I remember my mom sitting me down and telling me, "Papi, ponte pa lo tuyo," like and really telling me like, I don't know what's wrong, I don't know how to help you, but like figure it out. And I'm here to help. Like whatever it is that you need to do, figure it out. And seeing my mom like go through the emotions because what I was going through and like how I was feeling like really clicked. Like, you know, there's people that care about you, and you have to be able to, like, if you're not gonna do it for yourself, do it for them, you know? Yep. And like she told me that again during the pandemic. I was once again, like me and my fiance had broken up during the pandemic, and I was going through it again, and she sat me down and she was like, "Ta volviendo para atrás." Like you're doing it again. And she wrote it down on a Post-it and left it on top of my table. On my birthday, May 19th, she was there. Everybody came over because I didn't want to do anything, and she wrote it on a Post-it and left it on top of the table, and bounced, you know. And I grabbed that Post-it and I put it by the keys. right by the door. And every time I walked out, I would touch that paper. Ponte pa lo tuyo, ponte pa lo tuyo. And one day I came home and the poster had lost its adhesive. And I picked up that poster. I called my tattoo artist, and I'm like, "Yo, you got a spot?" And he's like, "Yeah, why?" He was like, "Yo, I want to get tattoos on top of my legs." And I was working out hard that summer, that pandemic summer. You know, I was single. I was calling it a hot dad summer. Hot dad summer.
You know.
Hot dad summer. All my dad's friends were single, and I was working out. I was working out every single day. I was working out. I was putting 2 a days. I was working out on my lunch break. I was running in the morning, and I went and I got Ponte pa lo tuyo on my thighs, and it was a reminder to myself, like, especially when I'm running, like, if you ever want to stop, like, and Ponte pa lo tuyo translates like get on your grind. So if at any point I want to give up, I just got to look at my legs and I know, like, you know, just think of what my mom told me. But that's the best piece of advice that I've ever received.
That's fire.
You know, that's
awesome. Yeah, round of applause for that. Round of applause for that. That's so dope, man. I mean, obviously support and family is been huge, right? So you have a family here at Root Crew. You got a family over at Nike. They've been able to help and support you guys grow. What is that relationship like with them, and like how did that even come into play?
We've had a partnership with Nike or relationship with Nike since day one, since we started. Josh was working retail at Nike when we had first started, and he was making all the right connections there. Honestly, some of the first Root Crew members were Nike employees that Josh would rally up and bring from Nike Town to run with us. I was reselling for a while. So I was heavy on Twitter. We talked about the fuel ban already, and then Nike shifted and started doing these fuel events. So I started going to the fuel events and making a name for myself, and people started to know who I was. During the Mercer Street Stickball Challenge, that was like one of the second to last events that I had gone to. I met Knox Robinson, who is the founder of Black Roses. That's another run club in the city, one of the older run clubs in the city, and I told him, I'm like, yo, I asked him, yo, what do you do for a living? He's like, oh, I'm a runner. I was like, all right, cool. Like, what do you do for a living? And he's like, nah, like, legit, like, I just get paid to run. I'm a writer, I run. I was like, oh, dope. I was like, yo, I started this crazy movement uptown. It's wild, like, it's never been done before. And I tried explaining Root Crew, and he laughed, and he's like, bro, we've been doing that shit for 10 years. So he introduced me to bridge runners, resident runners, and all the other run crews that were a part of this Nike ecosystem. And we started going out there. Like, we made it a mission. Like, Wednesdays, I went down to bridge runners. Thursdays, we went to run with resident runners. Tuesdays, we were downtown running again. So, like, that was my focus that year. And these groups were signed to Nike. So every time they did an event, it was a Nike event. Right. And we would be invited and we would go and people would share a link like, oh, there's this run. And we would go to the run and, you know, shake hands with the right people. And no comenzaron a coger cariño. They started to really appreciate the work that we were doing uptown and how genuine it was.
You were serious about it.
Yeah. And the relationship started little by little. Then Josh started working at the corporate office. So we had a way in. Now we really had a way in. And like I would pop in just to bother Josh. But while I was there to say hi to Josh, I was able to walk into somebody's office and talk to them about it, you know.
Yes, sir, get that networking.
They really play an integral part in our growth because like we didn't know what a deck was. Like I remember sitting down at the Nike office like on our first meeting and they're like, yo, where's your deck? And we're like, what's that? And I look at Josh because I'm like, you should know what this is. You work here. And he looked right back at me and we're like, yo, and you know, they were like, oh, we can't meet with y'all. Y'all need to present something to us. We can't just like take our time and
shoot the shit.
They taught us and like they hired help to teach us how to create a deck.
That's at least a good thing because like they could have also been like, yo.
And that happens a lot of times, you know, a lot of brands when there are these new and upcoming like brands or companies or whatnot, if they're not prepared, they're like, all right, well, we're going to move on. So the fact that they actually help kind of usher you through the process a little bit, that's really, really dope.
Yeah.
There's this thing that I now understand, like working in corporate, but you don't have relationships with brands. You have relationships with people who work at brands.
Exactly.
Josh and I have been privileged enough to have amazing friends in really high places. And that is the honest truth. And these are people that have wanted to see us succeed and have done everything in their power to put us in a position to win. And I want to say we are now 6 years in, Josh, with a formal contract with Nike. We are one of 5 running groups in the city that have a contract with Nike. 2 of those groups came after us and were groups that we offered our Rolodex to and our framework to, and we've always like played that big brother role and have been able to help them with whatever they've needed help. But it's beautiful, bro, to be able to say, like, think about it. It's the number 1 sportswear brand in the world, and they fuck with Uptown. You know, they support the running movement Uptown. And then it's bigger than that as well. Like some of the biggest running crews in the world have that same partnership. So you have Koreatown Run Club in LA. You have not anymore, but who? PATA in Amsterdam. AFE Athletics Far East in Tokyo. You know, so it's these, like, they do play. They play. They're part of the ecosystem.
I love that. I think, like, the fact that, again, you kind of hit on it, like a multinational, like, global corporation is so invested in something that's like fundamentally rooted in community, right? And I think that that's so interesting because, again, like, these brands are so far reaching, and like the fact that they can see something on the micro scale and like have an appreciation for it, I think it's impressive. But I also want to say that I think it's because of the consistent kind of calling or hearkening back to community that Root Crew and everybody who like represents Root Crew does, right? So like, no matter what they see, they're always going to see like a community kind of foundation. I guess my question is like it's rooted in everything that you do, and I can get into like the specifics later about like our run and last Monday, and
I'm dying to hear about that.
How that went. But
we went running. We
ran. Oscar and I went on the Root Crew. Shout out to Gina. She coached us.
Gina and Josh.
Yeah,
yo, shout out to Root Crew.
Yeah.
And I do want to get into that experience because
I think that I found, and you
found Jesus on the run.
I found Jesus, but that's before I found another Root Crew runner who saved my life. Shout out to Sierra.
Sierra Green, let's go, Sarah. I love Sierra.
She taught me something that you taught her, which was, I believe, and I don't want to, mess it up, but it was the bullshit bounce.
BSB. Oh man, so bullshit bounce.
That shit saved my life. Let me tell you. Yeah, man,
the bullshit bounce. I learned the bullshit bounce from Mike Sace. He is the godfather of running. Yeah. He's celebrating his 20th year anniversary. He took us under the wing 10 years ago when we first started, and it's dope when the OG sees a lot of him and you, and of like what the movements were like parallel to each other. But he was doing a 20-mile run. They were prepping for an 100-mile run that they were gonna do. They were doing a 100-mile run in like I think 24 hours, and they were training by doing 20-mile runs. These are experienced marathoners and runners. And on that run, I'm like, yo, bro, you not tired? And he's like, nah, let me teach you the BSB. And he taught me the bullshit bounce, and that's how I got through my first half marathon. The bullshit bounce is beautiful because you trick your body into feeling like it's running. Yep. You are moving, so think of like someone's power walking next to you, and I'm doing the BSB. My heart is pumping just as much, but my entire body is moving versus just my legs and my arms. Right. And it's a beautiful thing.
So
and
that's the one of these.
But she's like, when she literally told me, she's like,
shoulders
yo,
there, Just.
Yeah, you bullshit. Yeah, but you moving. Yeah.
So one of those. When she
I've
called
never
up to
seen
me,
Justice bullshit face, and then
she
that's
was
it.
running and I was walking, and she was like, "You see that I'm running and you're walking, and we're going the same speed. Like, you just insert like dynamic movement into your walk. Right? Like, you're essentially bullshit bouncing, and yeah, like by
BSB's a vibe, man.
I can rock with that,
bro. I finished the whole thing, and like you have video where I'm like struggling to make it, but if it wasn't for that moment, and even before that, if I can, like, I wanted to straight up quit. Like,
I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit before I got there.
Yo,
this is why
I was
go.
mentally. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, because I'm not athletic. Like, I'm not an athletic person. So like. Yeah, I ran, but I was literally mentally preparing for that run on Monday, knowing that was like, yo, that's the easier run. Yeah. Like you're gonna be all right. But mentally, I was like preparing myself because I don't run. Like I really, when I think about running, I'm like, this is something. Yeah, this is gonna be painful. I can't do it. I'm gonna be breathing, and my heart is gonna come out of my mouth. Like that's how I feel about running. And honestly, you have been, since I met you, since I found out about you, it has been a motivation for me because I'm like, nah, man, yo, Hector is like turned this whole thing into like, it is a vibe and it's fun. And it's like, all right, yo, let me try it out. Let me try. And there was no way that we was going to have you on the show and not have participated and been a part of the community.
It's a prereq for me and Josh. Anyone that wants to work with us, a sponsor, a partner, you got to show up to run.
That's fine.
You got to pull up on a Monday. And the reason that we do that is because there's no photo, recap video, a deck that could do it justice. Yeah. I can sit here and try to paint the perfect picture. You could bring every single video camera out. You have to feel it. You have to feel the power of community. Shared experience and common struggle is what builds community. And that's what you'll find on the run.
That part, like, I think that part specifically was what I found. Like, you mentioned it earlier about, like, how kind of struggling to bring down that barrier and making, like, male friendships and stuff like that. And, like, I think everybody, you know, we're from the Bronx. Like, everybody would go, you kind of, like, come up with a front first. Like, you have this guard up. Yeah. But then, like, you get to this space and everybody's so fucking encouraging. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's like when you go, like, when you from, like, the hood and you go to, like, a Walmart in the suburbs and they're like, yo, can I help you? And you're like, yo, bro, I'm not stealing nothing. Why you being weird? Yeah, I'm not stealing nothing. They're just being helpful. But we're so used to the shit, right? But, like, you come to this space and everybody's like, yo, first time? What's up, man? I'm this and I do this. And I'm like, oh, shit, what's your social security number? Like, let's just keep it going. And then, you know, by the time I get to running, right, like, I have this plan with Oscar. I'm like, yo, let's just fucking not make a fool of ourselves. Let's keep this pace steady and, like, let's see what we can get. And Oscar was gone. He runs faster than me. That's how I found out. And then,
damn.
Yo, you want to sign up for half? 13
miles? Not yet.
So I'm struggling. I'm, like, heaving, bro. And I'm like, all right, I got to get up this hill right here to come up to the chop house where we're going to rest. And I see a dude, and he's just, like, directing traffic. And I was already...
I think that was Gina's brother that was doing that.
I was already... So, Gina, I already gave up. I was like, I'm good. I'm going to go to the chop house. I'm going to take a cab back to Locksmith. Yo, and then I saw this guy waiting, and I was like, nah, he's waiting, yo.
He's waiting.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't let this guy down. Like, and I started running again, yo, and I don't know where I got it from. I picked up a whole second win, and before you know it, that's when we met up at Dykeman where they were doing the performances and stuff. But, like, I was out. That's it. I was cramped up, and I was like, yo, fuck this. I'm going home. Like, I got enough of it. Hector, I know enough. Like, I was so fed up.
Enough. I'm good.
I was so fed up. But then, like, I'm so glad that I actually, like, listened to that part of myself and, like, I actually finished the race because we had an amazing experience after the race when we talked to, like, the rest, like, some of the rest of the people in the crew. Yeah. And they...
After the run.
Yeah, sorry, after the run.
It's cool.
And
it's not a race, man.
It's not a race.
It's not a race.
Yeah.
It's not a race.
Oh, man, he felt like it was a race.
It's kind of a race.
I felt like it was a race. I felt like it was a race.
Hold on. When you last, it feels like a race.
It feels like a race when you catching up.
Not when you first and shit. Not when you Oscar. Like, but
nah.
I think we had a really good moment after the run with, like, some of the members, and they were just like, yo, this is the best thing to happen to us. This is, like, something that we all look forward to every Monday. People from all walks, and that's exactly kind of what we're trying to do here. So, like, it was so inspiring to see that all together. That after, I'm not a runner at all. I'm very similar to Oscar, and we were like, yeah, we probably come back.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. I love that. We've.
I'll go next time.
Yes, let's go.
Monday.
I'll show you guys up with your wimpy legs.
It's 10 years. Yeah. You gotta.
Yo, and you designed.
Wait, that's
fun
a
fact.
Random
Yo,
fun
look
fact.
into the camera and tell the fun fact.
It's your favorite underground designer. I did the first logo for them.
Yes, just
Big Jus.
It's wild.
TM.
Let's get it.
TM.
Trademark.
Let's go. I still got the manila folder for the poor man's trademark.
The original documents.
I merch with that logo. I have
No, we're not doing that. That's obsolete. That's not. That's for the archives. You mentioned something that I thought was really dope when you mentioned like all walks of life.
Yeah.
And we've literally had a surgeon and a drug dealer running side by side. And I'm not talking about like someone that's selling bud. I'm talking about like a hardcore drug dealer, like running with a surgeon. And if you think of they live on two completely sides of the spectrum. When else, the only two places that these two people would come, would be in the same room is if the surgeon is buying drugs or if the drug dealer is getting surgery. And to see these two people running side by side, knowing damn well that they're not talking about what they do for a living, and then see them sit at a bar and connect through sport, through running, be able to connect and spend the whole fucking night buying each other drinks and laughing. There is no class system at Root Crew. There's no I'm fast, you're slow, we can't talk to each other. Like, I do this, you do that. It's all that shit goes out the window. The ice is instantly broken as soon as that run starts. Because at some point in the run, everyone's feeling the same thing. If it's 90 degrees and we're running up a hill, everyone's looking to each other, struggling. And that's what I said earlier about shared experience and common struggle. That common struggle is what allows everyone to share that experience as a group. And
that's what brings us.
And to drop the guard too. Like, I think the fact that everybody gets to see everybody struggle. And it's like, yo, we're all human and we're all like.
And that's always been my whole thing around why I never wanted to run. Why I've never I don't go to the gym because I'm self-conscious. I'm like, damn, man. I don't want. I don't want to be. I don't want people to look at me at my worst. You know what I'm saying? But on that run, going back to Monday, on that run, you kind of hit this block of like, I don't give a fuck. And he's like, yo, what I really want to do is I want to finish this. I want to finish this for myself. Like that's the conversation that you're having in your head, like throughout the run. Like I gotta get through this. I gotta finish it. And it's even more encouraging when you're like, you start walking. And then you hear Josh keep running.
Or there's somebody wondering about how we doing, and I'm like, all right, I'm doing all right. Like,
I guess I'm.
How many how we doings I heard?
Yeah, it's what's beautiful. And if you think about it, the best way to think about Root Crew is, at one point, all those people there were strangers. The same way that me and Josh were strangers. The same way that me and Gina were strangers. And these are people that maybe you saw on social media, maybe you saw in passing. Me and Josh used to be at the same team bashes drinking water out of the water fountain. Not the water fountain, the sink. Like, we would talk about these stories and it's like, damn, you were at that Zion and Lennox party too? And it's like, we were at the same party, but
was you?
But we didn't know each other. We weren't like, we were in the same room but not know each other. And that's what Root Crew does. Root Crew brings everybody together. And again, like I said it earlier about how hard it is to form platonic friendships. If I approach Gina at a bar and she's there, she probably thinks I'm trying to hit on her. But because we've already broke this ice on the run, that doesn't matter anymore. Me and Gina can have a very deep conversation without that preconceived notion that I'm trying to bag. I might end up, we might end up dating, but it's like, the run is what's bringing everybody close together. From Root Crew, we've had beautiful families that have formed, people that have gotten married, people that have broken up, people that have gotten jobs, careers, people that have been able to quit their careers, their careers that they've been doing for 5-6 years. They've been able to quit them because they found a new career path through the sport of running,
Absolutely incredible.
Through community,
Yes, sir.
And not competition.
No races.
It's not a race.
Not a race.
Unless you last. I think, Hector, you almost left me speechless, bro. And I'm always a person that got a lot to say, but like, I think that what you're doing here, like, you're an intensely sharp dude, and like you're super kind of impassioned about this. But I almost like, I kind of want to lean in again on the community aspect. I think that what you're doing is so impactful, and I think that people, whether they want to say it or not, everybody needs what we call now a third space, like a third place that's not your job or your crib, that you can go and find your people, find your tribe, if you will, and doing something that's free, that's beneficial, and that's easy and accessible. And
Not
on top
easy,
of that,
it's not easy.
It's definitely easy.
not easy.
You just did it once, bro.
Yeah.
You
But
gonna
it was-
scare the people. The people gonna be like, oh man,
Running is
man.
hard. It's
No.
not easy.
Running is hard when you do it by yourself, but once
Yeah.
you show up
Yes,
to the
yes,
squad,
yes,
it's
yes.
very different when you have a community pushing you.
I agree because when I was that little like quarter mile when I was alone, it felt like I had cinder blocks on my feet. And then when I started running to like these 3 young ladies, Sierra, who taught me the bullshit bounce and all this, like I felt like a second wind, and like you forget the fact that you're like agonizing right now, like you're fucking dry heaving. So I just want to say like thank you first of all. I'm sure you get it all the time, but thank you for doing something that is so selfless and it really is empathetic and looks out for the rest of the people in your community, and it doesn't even have to do like you don't care about where they come from. And I like this anecdote that you just gave about the drug dealer and the doctor is such a perfect example. But like, thank you, man. Like I think that I think ultimately we would like to know in terms of like if you heard of anyone who at one point was where you were and now wants to kind of realize a dream or something like that, or like really bring their passion or their vision to life, like what's the brain food? What's the advice that you would give them?
Or drop a gem on them.
This was like it's crazy because we were sitting in the same room when Adam told me this or but like Adam said, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's been stuck in my mind because like Adam's my partner in some endeavors and Josh is my partner in other endeavors. And no matter what idea I've ever had, I've needed help to get there. You know, and I feel like the hardest thing to do as a man, it's easy to be, I got this. Like, I don't know how to drill shit in my apartment, but every time my fiance wants me to drill stuff, my dumb ass goes like, I know what I'm doing.
Turn on YouTube real quick.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, she's better at it than I, but I want to prove that I'm a guy, that I'm a man, and I want to come and put a bunch of holes without finding the stud, and now the TV's lopsided.
Bruh.
But it's hard. Like, ego is really bad, and I feel like if it's a guy that needs to help, the most fragile thing a male has is his ego.
Yeah.
Drop that shit.
Yes, sir.
Find the people around you that share some of the same qualities that you do, and lean in for help. And I am blessed to have done that and to have found 2 people that are in my corner that share some of the same values, and we've been able to build together. And I think about it all the time, like where would I be, like, or whatever that Drake line is, like, imagine if I would have never met the Brodies, you know? Like, I'm really into, like, I talk in, like,
the quotables.
I talk in song lyrics.
Like he didn't have that like loaded up.
No, I did. I talk in song lyrics. But like, imagine I would have never met Josh. Like, where would Rue Crew be? Would it be this? Probably not.
Yeah.
It would be something different had I kept doing it. But yeah, man, if you want to do something, find your tribe, find your network, and build on that. You know, because everyone needs help. Like, Josh has his own endeavors that have nothing to do with me. You know, like, but I'm able to support him. His win, there's this thing called the zero-sum game. Yeah. And like a lot of people aren't familiar with that. Yeah. You know, and it's like, in order for me to win,
you have to lose.
That's not the case, bro. Like, we can all win.
100%.
Like, Josh's W is not my loss.
No. There's room
and vice
for everybody.
versa. You know, like, it's the complete opposite of that. Josh's win is also my win. You know, when Josh wins in his photography, I also look good. Even though I've never touched the camera because my boy is winning and I'm winning, you know, and like we're all winning collectively, and that's 100%. What you need to do. Find your circle and make sure everyone's pulling each other up. You know, you want to be a NASCAR driver? Let's make sure that you're the best NASCAR driver that's ever come out of Uptown. What we got to do? Who we got to tap in to get you to drive that car, you know?
Support is so integral, yo.
And free.
Yo, so Hector, I mean, in terms of community, you guys are continuing to evolve the brand and giving back to this community that is Uptown. Like, the next endeavor for you guys, I hear, is becoming a nonprofit.
Yes.
How, like, where did that come from? What's the importance, and why is that so important for Uptown and for you guys?
We have a lot of work to do, and Josh and I sat down the other day, like a year ago. We sat down and we were like, again, with the whole performative versus impactful, and we're like, yo, what are we doing? Yeah. What legacy are we leaving Uptown? What is the impact that we have in the community? Cool, we get into people moving, but what else can we do? How can we do more? And our focus turned to the at-risk youth. So the goal for us right now is to the betterment of Washington Heights and the at-risk youth through movement and access. Movement can be many things. It doesn't only have to be running. But if we can provide what was provided to me, what running has provided me in the last 10 years, which is movement and access, if I can provide that to the kids of Uptown that are lost, that don't know what they need, you know, how do I bring Justin to teach graphic design, you know? How do we bring Josh in to teach photography? How do we bring you guys and teach these kids how to create a podcast? Teaching them these skills that they're not gonna learn in a school setting, and allowing these kids to see that there is more to life than academics. That passion project that you have, that every single adult in your life has told you is not gonna make you money, is bullshit. That if you have the right resources and you can and you can hone in on that, and you can have people that look like you, support you, and believe in you, that could be your career choice. You don't have to go into, if you ask kids Uptown, and maybe not now, but like when I was growing up, if you asked anybody in the hood, if you had to pick one place Uptown for you to work at, where would it be? Most of them would be like Columbia Presbyterian, because that was where the money was at. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna get a nice little hospital job, $11.99, we lit. And I was there for 10 years miserable because I allowed all the adults around me and their fears to force me into a career that I did not want to be.
Projected onto you.
Yeah, man, and that's really the goal. The goal with Comunidad We Run Uptown crew, CWRU, is to focus on the at-risk youth and give them an opportunity. Give them access to things that open those doors that I could not see for myself.
Fire. Perfectly like encapsulated our endeavor with this show is like to show people that there's more than one way to kind of be brilliant and be great, right? You don't gotta be a fucking coder at Google. You don't gotta be a Goldman Sachs finance guy. Like, there are so many ways and so many things that you can do to not only impact your dreams, but impact the people around you. And I think that you're an excellent example of that.
Thank
you chose
violence.
No, you chose a route of like of togetherness, and like you gravitated towards and you said this at the top of the interview, but you gravitated towards the things that were like calling to you, right? You found your tribe and you found the people that you really appreciate. So I think that it just encapsulates perfectly what we're trying to do here. We're trying to talk to exactly these kind of people who see this and who are like trying to encourage others. Like, yo, yeah, computer science, that's cool. Like, that's great. I'm not trying to shit on it at all. But there's so much more. Like, if that's not your thing, don't do that. Don't fucking, just because your parents told you that you make 100, whatever, thousand, like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You just have to be like committed to it and understand what you're getting into. And I think that the advice that you've given people here, it should resonate.
Let that shit ring.
If it doesn't, y'all, something wrong with y'all. But like, yeah, man, Oscar, I don't know if you had anything.
Nah, man. Yo, Hector, thank you, man. Thank you so much for sharing with us and kind of taking this on your journey. I know that your journey is far, far, far from over, but this has been a motivational, inspirational conversation, and we hope that everybody that's listening and watching, they are able to take away a lot from that. You know,
thank you.
Follow.
Yeah, where can they follow you? Where can they follow you?
It's at Heck is Dead. HECISDEAD. We didn't even get to why we call, but it doesn't matter. And at WRU at WRUCREW Rue Crew on Instagram.
Let's get it.
Yo, well, this has been the first episode of the third season of The Smartest Guys in the Room, and we did it live.
We did it live, baby. Over there.
Shout out to Diddy and everybody here at the Chop House. Thank you so much. Hector, thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. And I'll see you on Monday.
I love that.
All
Let's
right,
go.
see you over the next
We
week.
see you on Monday.
Yo, follow us at The Smartest Pod. Hit us
Word.
up on YouTube, The Smartest Guys in the Room. I am Jeff.
Your boy O.
And it's Big Jus.
Thank you, everybody.
We
Have
outta
a
here.
blessed week. Peace.
Peace.